So I had a lot of fun making those splits in the last video. I'm gonna do it again, but a little bit different this time. So we still have not addressed the Russian hive. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not in love with the Russian hive. Nothing against Russians. It's a perfectly fine hive, and I'm gonna keep this hive alive, keep the queen laying as long as she wants to lay. But I think what I wanna do is use the bees in this hive to start a new hive. And I'm gonna introduce a different kind of queen. So for the Italians, I really, really like these hives. The Balboa hive obviously has been through 2 winters. I've never had a varroa problem in that hive. The bees are very agreeable. And they produce honey. It's just a really great hive, and I want to propagate this hive. The new hive has just surprised me like crazy. It's a VSH queen. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but I want to propagate that hive as well, which I've done over here in the other resource hive. For the other resource hive, for the second double nuke resource hive, I want to try something different. I've always wanted to try carniolan queens. So I got a couple carniolan queens. They're mated queens. What I want to do here is take some brood from this hive, get it into the resource hive, and if I need some more, I might grab some more from the Italian hive, put it in there, leave them queenless overnight, and then tomorrow morning, I'm going to introduce 2 new carniolan queens and get that resource hive laying immediately. So for this split, we are not looking for eggs. All we're looking for are frames of capped brood and empty frames that we can put in there for the queen to immediately start laying in tomorrow. Now, I had a peek in this hive a week ago, and there was a lot going on in here, and I'm just going to try and open it up again and make sense of what's happening, and we're going to put a bunch of stuff in that resource hive over there. Alright folks, this has never happened before. I've been here for almost an hour and I cannot find a queen. I'm going to admit defeat. This is not going to work tonight. These bees are pissed. I've looked at every frame 3 times, got stung 3 times. I'm putting them all back together. Can't believe that just happened. Remember what I was saying about the Russian hive? I'm not in love with the Russian hive. It's this kind of... I feel so defeated right now. I had one thing to do tonight. I was going to make up my split so that tomorrow morning I could introduce new queens. And I came up here, and the one thing that has never been a problem is finding the Russian queen. And I just spent an hour and a half. And I couldn't find her. I got 3 stings. Just, they got really, really hot at the end there. I probably came at a bad time. All the foragers were heading back in, so there were just way too many bees in there, and she just wasn't visible. All right, well, I'm gonna try tomorrow. Last night I left the bee yard totally defeated. But today we're gonna find that queen, and we're gonna make some splits, and we're gonna introduce some queens. All right, so once again, today's goal is to find the queen. Make sure I don't put her into the nuke. And I'm gonna make a split out of this hive. We're using these bees to make a split. To introduce a new queen, I need to find the queen. Oh, there she is. Wow. Second to last frame. You're going in the cage so I don't lose you. Wow, she is just really good at hiding. She's right there. I can't see her now. She's in there. Okay, we got the queen. We got the queen. Jeez, that was crazy. It took an hour and a half last night and 45 minutes today. She's in the cage. She's safe. So let's make up a split. So for this split, we are going to be introducing a new queen. So we only need frames of brood and empty places for the new queen to lay. We do not need uncapped larvae, and we do not need eggs. We actually don't want eggs in the hive. This is all nectar and pollen. This is going to be my nectar feeder frame. There's a little brood, emerging brood on here, some nectar, and a lot of empty cells. While I'm here, I'm going to be adding some empty frames in here because I'm going to take 4 frames out of this hive. I'm going to put 4 empty frames in for them to draw. I'm going to shake these bees into the split. All right, pollen, a lot of empty spaces in here. There's some, actually there's eggs on that frame. I don't want to put that in there. Eggs on that one, we'll leave that there. It's a nicely drawn frame. I'm going to put this in there because they got a really nice head start on this frame drawing this out. All right, this is emerging brood, some open larvae, and pollen. They're going in. All right, queen, you're going back in. There you go. All right, she's in there. All right, this is what we have right now, and I am actually going to close up the front of the hive. All right, they're in there. All is good. Now we're going to make up the other split using the new package bees. These are Italians that were split about 6 days ago, and there was so much brood in this hive. I'm sure a lot of those bees have emerged, so the population is going to be huge in here. So I'm going to throw a bunch of bees into the nuke and some frames, and I have some already drawn frames. So here's a frame that's drawn out with pollen in it. I'm going to use this one. That's my first frame going in. That's a place to lay, filled with eggs. Gosh, this queen is amazing. This frame is full of eggs. Full. Tons of emerged bees, many to be emerged. This is actually a very nice frame for a split. Oop, there's the queen. We don't want that frame. Okay, queen is on that frame. So those 2 frames are no. Eggs all over that frame. This queen is insane. All right, this frame is going in. This frame is full of nurse bees and capped brood. That's a good hive of future workers there. All right, this is going in. They're so busy drawing out, filling this with nectar. Busy, busy bees. Here's more for them to draw out. Okay, queen is up here. This top box is done. And let's shake some bees now that we have 2 frames in the resource hive. Let's shake this frame in. And then I'm just going to put this frame in. All eggs and larvae on that frame. Covered in eggs. Covered in eggs. Well, this queen has certainly recovered from the split. Need 1 more frame in there. She has got this hive full of eggs. All right, I don't want to take too much out of this hive. I do have 1 more frame that's just empty. I might just use this one. This is like, got some bee bread, pollen in it. It's an old frame, but I think I'm just going to use this empty frame for this nuke. Okay, I'm leaving this hive just like it is. They're fine. So I took 3 frames of resources out of here, and I had 1 empty drawn frame. Because there's a lot of bees in here, and there's a lot of eggs, but they don't have a lot of capped brood in here. So I'm going to leave them. I only took 3 frames out, with 2 with capped brood. So I'm going to leave them with the rest of their capped brood. This hive is just amazing. Okay, this hive's definitely a little bit light, but that's okay because I'm feeding them. They have everything they need. We took 4 frames from the Russians in here. We took 3 frames from the new package hive, plus a frame that I already had that was drawn out. All right, so it's noon right now. We're going to leave them queenless for 6 hours in this nuke, and then we're going to come back tonight about 6 o'clock, and I'm going to introduce 2 carniolan queens to these nukes. All right, I picked up these girls yesterday. These are locally mated, locally bred carniolan queens. They come from one town over, and they're brand new. All right, I'm gonna put the one queen on here and see what they do. I'm taking out the cork, leaving in the candy. I want to see how they react to her. So these are Russian bees and a carniolan queen. Seems pretty normal, pretty friendly. Alright, I think I'm going to stick her on a frame. Everything looks normal. I didn't really think this through. Got to fit the other frame in here. And they're getting syrup. Okay, Russians are all closed up. Now for the Italian side. Alright bees, time for a new queen. New queen. Taking out the cork. There's a cork here, and this is fondant candy here. So you take the cork out, and then the bees eat the candy, and it's a time release for the queen, so they can get used to her. Alright, I'm just going to put this here again and see what they do. See if they do any like balling up, or if it's just like a, hey, how you doing? Because that's kind of what we want. We don't want balling up or anger. They're all fanning like crazy. Yeah, this seems very chill. Yep, they're fanning around her. All right, what do you say, girls? Are you ready for a new queen? I'm still very awkward at this whole thing. All right, let's cover them up. All right, I'm leaving the front entrance mostly closed, and I'm going to leave the top open for ventilation and, you know, coming and going. They're orienting. The bees aren't going to, I mean, some might fly back to the main hive, but they're not going to go anywhere. The queen's in there. This is their new home. I made a couple labels. These are actually plant labels. Aluminum tags that you can put on plants. All right, this is all very incredibly exciting. Just a couple months ago, we had 2 hives here in this little bee yard, and now we have, you know, almost 7. We have 3 healthy hives. We have 2 nukes that have brand new queens, and we have 2 over here that are making queens, hopefully. And in a month or so, those things could be built up, and we could have 7 hives sitting right here. I owe a lot to you guys for all of your advice and your feedback and your comments. So thank you for all of that. So I want to thank, I can't remember who, but I'm going to put the name on the screen here. Somebody suggested doing this little experiment. Instead of doing 4 splits, all self-made, take 4 splits and do 2 self-made and 2 with mated queens. And that way we have 2 that are sort of definites and then 2 that, you know, could potentially be legacy hives. And, you know, just really cool to see the magic happen. So here we are. Thank you very much. This is really incredible. If you haven't yet, please follow me on Instagram. I mentioned that a couple videos back. I said Instagram at the outro here, and I had like 250 followers came in, which is amazing. We're over 1,000 now. That is where I post immediate things. If you follow me on Instagram, you would have known 4 days ago that I was putting queens in this hive. So if you want to get the real news, Instagram, Vino Farm. I'm also on Twitter, and I'm learning Twitter. Follow me on Twitter and encourage me to tweet. And I will start tweeting more. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.